We've arrived to Sri Lanka, formerly known as Ceylon, but also known as the teardrop of India. Sri Lanka is famous for its rich culture and diverse landscapes, including lush rainforests, golden beaches, and tea plantations. We're starting off our trip in Colombo, the capital city. Once arriving to the airport and grabbing my bags, I took a 10-minute walk outside to the local bus stop and caught a public bus. Whenever I travel, I like to take public buses as I think it gives me a little bit more of an authentic experience. It's a good way to see how the local economy works as well and do a bit of sightseeing. My hostel was a little bit far away, so I had to take 2 buses, and I did have a bit of an interesting experience during that ride. So something a little bit traumatic happened to me. I took the public transport to my hostel. I'm just walking to my hostel now, and I was sitting in the back row. There was no one else sitting with me, and I was sitting on like one end next to the window, and a guy came and sat on the other end. We didn't talk or anything like that, and as I was looking out the window, the journey was going on, I looked to my side, and he full on was giving himself a hand job and like penis out and everything. And I actually just tried to video it because I was so shocked and I couldn't believe it. And then when I was trying to video it, he obviously put it away. But pretty intense start to my first day in Sri Lanka. This is where I'm staying. It's called the Drop-In Hostel. This is my hostel for the night. Got an aircon. There's a desk here if I need. Pretty basic. It was clear that Colombo was quite a cultural shock right off the bat, but I wanted to make sure I remained positive and had a good outlook going forward. So I spent the first day in Sri Lanka quite relaxed. I got comfort food, I enjoyed time for myself, and in my hostel I was able to meet a couple of people that I ended up spending the next few days with too. I ended up eating 3 slices and then got full, so I had to take the rest of it home. It was a pathetic effort on my half. In the first night I met 2 German girls and I spent the next couple of days with them. We took a tuk-tuk and went and visited Seed Cafe. A really cute, holistic cafe. It was designed definitely for tourists, so the price is a little bit more expensive than if you were to just get local food. But I had these creamy Turkish eggs with bread, and then we explored the city doing self-directed walking tour. We first stopped up at the Independence Square, and then we walked through and found the Lotus Theatre, the town hall, and the Gangaramaya temple. The Gangaramaya temple was interesting. There was definitely some beautiful features within it, but we were kind of confused with what was happening. A lot of it looked like a storage spot. They had some old vintage cars, some European, German beer glasses. It kind of looked like an antique store. After that, we headed into the city centre. We visited the Red Mosque, but unfortunately we couldn't go in because they were having a prayer session. We were taking a 5-hour train ride heading to Anuradhapura. We were actually running late to the train, so our taxi driver sped a little bit to get us there, which was kind of pointless because the train didn't leave for another 30 minutes when we arrived. And as you can see, I was absolutely dripping in sweat. But if you're not planning on it, I would definitely recommend to take a train at least once or twice while you're in Sri Lanka. It allows you to see the different landscapes and different landmarks as well. Train tickets can be purchased both online if you want reserved seating, but you can also just go on the day and purchase a ticket. It is about 1/10 of the price if you would just go to the train station and grab a ticket, but it just means you can't guarantee what time you'll be able to catch a train. You'll definitely get a train. It's just what time you'll catch it is another story. The train ride was meant to be 4 hours, but it ended up being about 5.5, so I arrived at 9 p.m. It's 9 p.m. and I've arrived to my hostel. It's quite cute. It's got a bit of a restaurant sitting over here. Dining area. A pool. They gave me a local Sri Lankan sour soft juice. It's quite refreshing after 4.5-hour train ride. Coincidentally, the German girls were also going to Anuradhapura, and so we took the train together the night before and planned to spend the next day together, renting out a tuk-tuk, the same tuk-tuk that actually brought me to the hostel the night before. A tuk-tuk driver for the day cost less than renting out a scooter. Sitting all the temples today, and everyone usually wears white because it's a pure colour, and look at my outfit choice. But our tour guide slash tuk-tuk driver said that it's the colour of your heart that matters, not the colour of your shirt. In one of the spots you get to see the Jayasurimaha Bondi tree. These are really sacred trees to the Buddhist religion, and the leaves of these trees actually are featured on the Sri Lankan flag. So if you look at the flag, there's these 4 different leaves on the corners, and that comes from this tree. Anuradhapura is famous for their temples. They have multiple UNESCO temple points around the city, so we spent a whole day just going to these different locations. I think we visited around 6 to 8 different heritage sites. You have to keep in mind that it is so hot in Sri Lanka that being outside for such a long time is truly exhausting. While driving from one temple to the other, we noticed somebody drying some rice on the ground. Halfway through our tour, we did stop to get some lunch. We just stopped at a family restaurant and got a few different dishes. I got the egg fried rice, the girls got a curry and some stir-fried noodles, and then we headed off to the last couple of temples. In the evening, we met up with some other girls from the hostel and we went to this really nice family dinner setting. So you would either choose your vegetarian or your a meat meal, and they would come out with different curries and side dishes that you would just share all together. Just got on the bus, heading to Dambulla. The first bus that I spoke to, which was charging me 800 rupees, negotiated to 500, but I still knew that was too much. I spoke to someone else, it went to 350, and now it's a 280. I only spent half a day in Dambulla to visit the cave temples before heading to Sigiriya. The cave temples are actually located on a top of a hill, so it's about a 20-25 minute walk upstairs to get there, and it's a 2,000 rupee entry. Really beautiful cave temples, and they are also a UNESCO site. One thing I will say is that when you go up there are various points that they'll ask for donations. So with any temple, any entrance, you usually take your shoes off in Sri Lanka. And so when you take your shoes off at this temple, they'll hold them for you, and then when you return, you'll need to give a tip. Same as if you're borrowing a sari or a scarf or something to cover your legs, they'll also ask for a donation. There's a man in the temple that's also giving out bracelets or like strings for blessings, and he'll also ask for a donation. It was the one place that I felt like I was continuously asked for donations, so just keep that in mind. They don't have to be big, they can be 20-50 rupees, so don't feel pressured to give anything more. I was planning to take a local bus to Sigiriya as well, but it was so hot and I kind of became friends with different tuk-tuk drivers, and I ended up going with this guy to Sigiriya. It's a 30-minute ride there, so it is actually a lot nicer to go by tuk-tuk, and he kind of gave me a tour guide around as well. But yeah, he was a really sweet guy. In Sigiriya, I stayed at another world hostel for 2 nights. It was a really cute hostel actually. It had really nice beds, a bit of a jungle atmosphere. Sigiriya is famous for the Sigiriya rock. On top is actually a palace where the king and queen used to live, but the town itself is built for tourism, so there used to be no restaurants really, but because of this rock it became so famous and they built around a lot of different restaurants. With that said, there isn't much to do except visit this rock or visit the neighbouring rock. The neighbouring rock that everyone usually climbs up is called Pitarangala Rock, and that's got a $1,000 entrance. It's 4:45 and I'm going to go head up to Lion's Head for a walk. If you choose to climb up Sigiriya Rock, it's $35 US, so it is a lot more expensive. So I think $35 US comes to about 45 Australian dollars, as in the Pitarangala rock is only $5 Australian. A lot of people prefer this rock as you can actually walk up and see the Sigiriya rock, but I think both have different beauties about them. Most people like to either climb up for sunrise or for sunset. I did it for sunrise. The walk itself is only 15 minutes and super easy. For the Sigiriya rock, I think it's about 2 hours. Keep in mind, if you do go for the sunset or sunrise option, it is usually quite crowded at the top. So that hike took about, in total, 15 minutes. There was a bit of a blockage because the first 2 minutes it's just full on stairs, and then it turns to like a full on bouldering rock climbing session for the last 5, and which can be quite difficult, especially in the dark. But that's really what caused the delay. When I stayed in the hostel at Anuradhapura, I actually ended up getting a bit sick because the aircon was on the whole time. And because Sri Lanka is a hot country, you really only get a sheet as a blanket. So I ended up getting sick from the aircon and spent the whole day sleeping. So I wasn't very active in Sigiriya, which was kind of nice because there's not much to do in Sigiriya outside of the climbing the rocks. You can go visit some lakes. But yeah, it's usually just quite a chill environment. My first week in Sri Lanka, there was definitely a little bit of a rough start, but overall I've really grown to love the country. It's not only diverse in terms of landscapes and activities to see, the amount of different wildlife has been so interesting to explore, and the local people are so lovely, kind and friendly, always wanting to strike up conversation and help out where they can. So far I visited the north of Sri Lanka, but I'm going to head down to the central and then to the coast. But overall, in terms of safety and overall experience, I think Sri Lanka has so much to offer, and I've predominantly seen so many female tourists here. I would say there's about a ratio of about 70% females. I think that really showcases the level of safety that's shown within the country, that so many women can travel independently without having to worry. I'll see you next week for part 2 of my Sri Lankan vlog. Thanks for watching.